Happy New Year, Kombat Krew! I just wanted to say thank you guys for all the years, and I wonder what your New Year's resolutions are. As you can see from the title, mine is to quit YouTube on Christmas Eve of next year. I will be having a live stream where I will be giving away all of my costumes. I know that some of you wish that we would keep doing this forever, but unfortunately there are too many roadblocks in the way. But I wanted to say thank you to all of you guys for all of the years of support, all of the kind comments that you guys have left through the years. I have used these as fuel when things have been difficult, and they have really connected with me deeply. There have been comments such as, you helped when my loved one was going through cancer, or I lost a loved one. And those kinds of comments, when things were hardest, they helped me get through it. So did all the supportive comments, all the people who've donated through the years, all the people who identify with this kind of content. We did this for you guys. So on December 24th, I would like to auction my costumes for mental health awareness, for cancer research, for the animals down here, for shelters in third world countries, because there's a major problem in countries like this. Anytime we walk on the streets down here in Mexico, we unfortunately see animals limping, animals suffering, animals eating trash, animals killed by people at the side of the road just because they drive so fast that they're not even considering them as life. And I know that that's hard for some of you, but I really want to be able to help with those things while simultaneously some of you can get something from our videos. We can sign these things if you want. Well, I will sign them because Anthony has not said whether or not he will continue. He's still making a decision on that. But I hope that if nothing else, that you guys remember that this is an example of you being able to do things, or others being able to do things despite the obstacles. In high school, I believed that no one found me funny, that no one liked when I opened my mouth. And that came from an abusive household I was in with my dad, constantly saying that I was worthless and other things, and having yellow teeth to where anytime I opened my mouth and smiled, other kids would make fun of me. Even to this day, on these videos that I have released recently, there's so much toxicity about my teeth. And that doesn't bother me in the stance of like, oh no, my teeth. It's just sad that we kind of live in this world where people have to put other people below them and engage in that kind of toxicity over a video game and opinions. And as you guys know, wearing a mask was a great identity source for me because I felt like I could hide my yellow teeth and have freedom. So I always connected with the characters all the way back since I was 5 years old, playing the games on Super Nintendo, Mortal Kombat 1 through 3. And Anthony and I played in the yard at a very young age. We started pretending we were the characters. So this has meant a lot to us through the years, but it has also dramatically changed. The Mortal Kombat community, of course, like any other community, is run in many ways from the top down. They decide the types of content that get popular largely by giving advantages to some and not giving advantage to others. And in our case, we have been bullied not only by Warner Bros. All the way back to when they purchased Machinima, which is where we got our start with our Video Game Flaws series. We got thousands of subscribers from videos on that channel, which was a video game parody channel with over 12 million, where thousands of creators participated in a community where they all could release content, and it was a 50-50 share, but you would get hundreds of thousands of views on your videos, and that brought us back a lot to our BizarrelyFunny channel, which is actually where we got our start. But at one point, Machinima was purchased by Warner Bros., and at that point, they said our production quality is too low, we won't accept any more content, and they shut down the whole parody section of that. And video game parodies have never been the same since on YouTube or anywhere. And so if you have to point a finger to who killed video game parodies the most, it was Warner Bros. Many, many years ago. And I've felt this way for all this time, and so we were afraid of the company. We were afraid of interacting with them, rightfully so, because anytime that we caught their attention, they could take our videos down in instances, or just the feeling of being left out in the community, wanting to get recognition from the creators like Ed Boon, but having fear that what we create is not good enough or that they wouldn't like it. Because of the types of things that they seem to be interested in. And despite all the obstacles, I'm very proud that we never had to sell out or sacrifice on the quality of our content. And I hope that it shows you guys that without as many barriers, you could just as well, or anyone else could still make it to some degree. I believe our content equals 12 lifetimes of watch time. And I feel very proud of that. I'm sure that Anthony does as well. And we appreciate you guys. When it comes from the top down, it would be so much better if they actually didn't just do it out of money right when their games are being sold, but actually had more of an interest in the cosplay community and parody channels and bolstering those. Because I do see that they fund fights sometimes, but they usually choose channels that don't even do Mortal Kombat stuff on a regular basis. And I wish that was different, but unfortunately it's not, and the community as a result of that has changed over the years as well. More and more people want to see us do reactions to what happens in the games, and they don't want to see us different than the characters. That didn't start out being that way. It used to be that you could just dress up in a yellow or blue costume and kind of have your own interpretation, and people would just be happy with that. But as the years passed, it became more and more serious and more strict with people's criteria, and it led to a lot of people tuning out, unfortunately. And I hope that if nothing else, that you guys are able to be motivated by this story, because despite all of the obstacles, we were able to do this, despite the distance, living 3 hours or an entire country away, despite all of my insecurities, all of my anxieties, all of my health problems, despite Anthony's cancer, despite having a partner that I introduced to my best friend in the community, and they go off cheating and gaslighting for a year between the two of them, but over 3 years for my ex, gaslighting and just destroying my mental health. And unfortunately at the time, all of my friends, seeing that I was mentally unstable, decided to side with the wrong side, and that made it far harder at the time. And I know that many of you say that, okay, well, maybe you just need to take a break, Ryan. Well, you need to understand YouTube burnout, and it exists for a reason. If you need to look it up, feel free to look it up. Us creators feel like we can't stop creating content. Any pause in creation of content usually kills channels. Now, this happened back in 2011 when Anthony moved up to Sumner, Washington to be with his current wife. We had a very large gap in our content, and it took us many years to try and recover things. But the times were different. There was a lot less competition back then. It was much easier to get things back up. And then in 2020, when COVID was happening and when my life was falling apart, I had a lot of gaps there as well. And I feel like we never recovered from those. And the algorithm is designed in many ways to unfortunately target channels like ours. Right now we have a very low monetization rating accuracy. I will be going into this later in a different video to show you guys how unfair their system is, because we follow all of the rules, but yet we still get yellow monetizations or age restrictions, and these dictate the popularity of our future content, along with the fact that the algorithm, your recent videos decide the popularity of your big hits. So unfortunately, since our recent videos were not doing that well compared to when the Halloween video came out, even though the Christmas video has far better data in pretty much every point, it can't get anywhere near the views of the Halloween video. Now, I don't think that YouTube should be designed that way, personally. I think a system that forces creators to almost upload daily and where it's over quantity over quality is not a good system anyway, especially to animators or other creators who need more time to produce high quality content. So we always were in this pickle. Back in 2014, we tried to add Let's Plays and stuff to it, because living so far away and Anthony not having any time to film made it to where we needed to create more of that quantity over quality content. Unfortunately, not long after that, the adpocalypse started happening earlier on, probably 2016, and from then on out, a lot of the content that we were creating was getting demonetized or censored. We actually had about a third of our content at the time that I had to get remonetized, and it was very difficult to do that. And some of those videos have still been age restricted all these years later. The MK11 Let's Plays, every single one of our towers, except for maybe the Joker's, is age restricted, simply because of some violence that really shouldn't be considered killing your video, you know, because you only get about 1% of the views and it effectively kills your video. But I get to see some really weird stuff on YouTube that they allow because of the name of money, right? So yeah, there have been a lot of roadblocks, but despite all of those, you guys helped us make this, and we would not have been able to share this, create this without you guys. And so I must say thank you. I must say thanks for so many kind comments, for all of the years that you have made this possible for us. Because without you guys watching, we would never have continued doing this. Thanks to all of your friendships and this being like my identity and all the years I've been here, it's very hard to leave. So I'm sorry for the roller coaster where it seemed like I was leaving, coming back, and saying these types of messages. I have a hard time leaving, and I always tried to be as clear enough as I could, because the reality is that Anthony was releasing content solely for a very long time, which I appreciate, but he was getting a lot of comments that were like, where's Ryan, where's Ryan? And part of these videos is to explain this, but part of them is also so that to serve as a warning for you guys out there that this isn't a fun thing to do. You might want to consider something else if you are thinking about becoming a parodyist, if you are thinking about entering this community and you haven't. One of the things that makes it difficult for me is I don't want to bring people to a toxic place. And Mortal Kombat 1, I was hoping to be able to get some money from my family. Down here I can't work, and we need to pay for these kitties, and we want to adopt more off the streets. Here's Nisha. She was pregnant and she had milk stuck in her when we got her, and she was bound to die. She was dehydrated and skinny. Here's Vincent. We got him from the streets as a kitten. He has a tail that was destroyed. And here's Oliver, who was abused by humans, and as a result, he is afraid of them. He has a lot of health problems, and we would have to pull out of all of his teeth in order to fix it. So instead, we pay a lot of money to make sure that he gets the best foods he can and can stay around as long as he can. Right, Ollie Bear? Right, baby boy? And with your help, we'll be able to help more of these sweethearts. Right, Nisha? This is gonna kill me. I need a source of income that's reliable for that. So I just gave it one last try with MK1, hoping to be able to kind of create that and be motivated by that, and it just unfortunately didn't work out. This will be the last time I directly talk about these things, so I hope that I don't miss anything, and that's why I'm talking a little bit slower. But there have been great things that have been gained from this. I have gained a lot of great friendships from you guys. I have learned a lot of skills for life. And even though it has worn me down and made me feel like YouTube and social media has become far too corporate, far too monetized friendly, instead of, we're promoting big brands, and that's a lot of what content is these days. There's very little content that's original content. It's just, let's all mutually be excited about this brand, and unfortunately, that's where criticisms or improvements get thrown by the wayside. It is very difficult to speak out against problems in the game without being a Mortal Kombat hate channel, because there's like one side or the other. You can't really reside in the middle. And yeah, so I have gained a lot of nice friends, and had a lot of good moments and a lot of identity through this. And I really was so afraid when we started. I didn't feel like I was funny. I felt so anxious. I had hours and after hours sometimes in the mornings of just coughing up phlegm and bleeding. And that's another thing. As I've said before, my characters, some of them make my throat bleed. And my throat is at such a condition, unfortunately, that I really can't keep doing this. And it's caused a lot of stress for my family and myself over the years, because never making it and always being on the cusp, you get really addicted to this idea of making it. You really dream big like that. Unfortunately, you can go down that rabbit hole for a very long time before you realize you're swimming against the current and that nothing's really going to work. So I say that as a warning to all you out there, aspiring creators. Do know that if something doesn't work, there are other options for you. Just think about what else you might want to do. Because if you pursue something as long as I have like this, you might look back at what you could have been doing instead. And looking at the damage that you may have caused relationships or yourself through the years and the sacrifices. And I have gained a great partner through this. I met my partner through YouTube, and I could not feel like there was a bigger gift than that. There truly isn't. And I'm just at a loss for words right now. Oh, geez. Well, there was something else I was going to say. Oh, yeah, the future. So, in the future, in the meantime, you will still see content. I have created with Anthony a bunch of different MK1 content still. As I wanted to say that I just forgot to before, Mortal Kombat 1 it doesn't remind me very much of the old games. It feels like a big departure, and it feels like a rushed game for the sole purpose of making as much money as possible right after Street Fighter but before Tekken. I think they're afraid of Tekken. I'm pretty sure Tekken's going to kick Mortal Kombat's ass in the long term this time. And the data is showing that it hasn't done as well. Rightfully so, because they gave us a half-complete game. And it wasn't ready, especially for Switch owners. I'm sorry, Switch owners. I know you have had it the worst. But these types of things have been happening through the years, and they've just gotten worse and worse. And this is finally the culmination. Now, I know there are many of you out there who enjoy the games, but let me tell you as a parodyist that part of the problem is for us that if you have characters that are boring, which unfortunately a lot of the Mortal Kombat 1 characters are watered down versions of the original characters or very different interpretations. Well, sometimes it's good as a parodyist to do the older interpretation, the one that people loved. Sometimes it's good to do something interesting, fun, exciting comparatively to a character that may be kind of doled out a little bit. It's a way of providing critique in a way that may help improve things. And so there are many of you out there who go, well, why don't you just stay here because you can help fix the system? Well, if the pipes are broken and all I can do is tape up some pipes here and there, if that's all the influence I have, I can't fix that system. Unfortunately, it'd be best to replace the pipes altogether. And there's not enough people who want to replace the pipes for that to actually happen. Until that changes, until there's enough outrage, not directed at each other because of all of the lack of communication by Mortal Kombat, by Warner Bros. If they could communicate better with us, if they actually cared more about our feedback, I think that we could have a better series. But everything is very closed off, and the lack of communication has unfortunately caused us a lot of stress through the years. And I have also felt through that, like creators like Ed Boon do not like what we create, because it's hard to believe after all these years that he wouldn't have seen our content. And that did add, unfortunately, to those insecurities. So you guys leaving those comments, those supportive comments, has made a world of difference for that. Instead of bringing people to a toxic community where I have very little influence, it would be best to just make my own. I have a lot of creativity that I would like to unleash and not feel like it has to be within the walls of a parody. It would be nice to create my own thing, and so that I can make the world a better place and inspire others on a bigger scale. When I see how terrible the situations are, I want to make them better, and I don't feel like I have the power within this community to do so, but I do feel I have the power in general to. And you guys have helped give me that. Every few weeks we will have probably something coming out. You'll see me every couple weeks all the way up till December 24th, and then that will be goodbye. So we will have a lot of time to put together something that you guys can be part of, where we can say goodbye to each other and we can go out with a bang. And for the future, I would like to use these skills to get into acting. I've always wanted to get into acting in a way that's not under the conditions that we've had to film, because I truly feel like I'm better than I'm able to show with all of the obstacles that get in the way on a regular basis. And I would love to make a video game. I've wanted to make a video game longer than I wanted to ever do YouTube for, or even Mortal Kombat stuff. And I have gotten into that in college and back in middle school. It would be great. I have a lot of ideas. There are other even YouTube channel related things. I've played around with VR chat, with AI, and unfortunately we can't put stuff like that on our channel because having variety is a bad thing. That's the unfortunate thing about YouTube too, is audiences have become so segmented that you can't have a YouTube channel like ours that has all this in one place. That unfortunately has damaged us, because people who want to see Let's Plays oftentimes may not want to see skits. People who see skits may not want to see reactions. People who see unboxings may not want to see certain other things. And as a result of that, you have retention dropping for the other types of content, or even other characters. Scorpion and Sub-Zero obviously are the ones that most people want to see. So if you put a Reptile and Baraka thing together, they're not necessarily going to watch it as much. And those types of things have made it over the years very difficult for us, because since we live so far away from each other, we had no way to keep up with the quantity aspect to keep our channel running regularly. And it made it to where we had to kind of have variety. And I think it's better to do that anyway. So yeah, the future holds a lot of different ways of using this. I could get into voice acting. I've always wanted to do that. And just know out there, for you guys who feel like unsure about what you want to do, you probably have a lot of options. You should just think about them, and just like I am. And so yeah, I just want to wish you guys a happy new year, and I hope that you are able to accomplish what you want to in this new year, and that it's full of love and happiness. And let me know down below your thoughts on this, as well as your New Year's resolutions. Have a nice day.